Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Wave 2, The X-Cutioner. Ciao and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we continue looking at the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Wave 2. As in front of me today we have a character we have never had before in the Marvel Legends line until now. It is, of course, the X-Cutioner. The dealer of justice is here. Now, he wasn't a part of the original series, so I'm curious of the role he is going to play when the show returns on Disney Plus on March 20th. But there's definitely a clue, as on his bout, it says FOH, which is, of course, the Friends of Humanity, an anti-mutant sort of hate group who have already been a part of the animated series. So I'm sure there is going to be some sort of collaboration, as he basically wants to take down mutants. He is very anti-mutant. He steals the weaponry of previous X-Men villains and foes and uses it for himself, including like a cannon from a Sentinel, some spears from the Shi'ar, and the character design is obviously more stylized for the animated show, but still very similar to what you see on the comic book page. We have already had this character in plastic, but you have to go back to the 5-inch sort of Toy Biz days when we got our first X-Cutioner. But this looks very nice, and I'm sure you'll be able to fudge it into a comic display as well. So I will do some more comparisons, but of course first there it is on the packaging with his accessories to the side. Then on the back of the box you get a picture of the X-Cutioner plus the other 5 figures in this wave of 6. So let's not mess around and let's get them open. Here we have the X-Cutioner out of the packaging with all of his accessories on the table. Now this guy doesn't come with any interchangeable heads or hands, but this assortment of weapons is very nice and unique for the character. It makes a lot of sense. He's also completely new, completely pinless, newly tooled, all unique for the character. If there is reuse here, it is so hidden you can't even tell. I think it's all brand new and it looks great. It really does. He's got a bit of heft to him as well. Now it is just a regular guy wearing all of this armor, so he should be standard Marvel Legends size, as you can see, standing at about 6.5 inches in height. Now the guy under that armor, at least in the comics, is Carl Denty, a former FBI agent who sort of went rogue, very anti-mutant, and then stole all of this sort of weapon and paraphernalia from previous X-Men villains to then assassinate mutants. Now it seems like he may be working with the Friends of Humanity in the animated show, but we're gonna have to wait to find out to see who is under that mask. But I do like that we get some unique weapons here to better pose him up. Now if we compare him to the X-Cutioner from the actual comics, you can see they are very familiar and similar in character design, but the comic one has a few extra details. This one's a little bit more streamlined and stylized to better suit the animation, but I think it still works as a representation of the X-Cutioner wherever you want to put him in your collection. It's your display after all. I think this legend looks great, but before we take a closer look and check out all the details and articulation, let's have a quick word from our friends at Legendsverse.
Let me introduce you to legendsverse.com, a place all Marvel Legends collectors are going to want to know about. If you are looking for an easy way to keep track of your collection, what figures you have, and create wish lists, then Legendsverse can do all of this and so much more. It's a comprehensive Marvel Legends database that once you have added your collection, gives you stats like how many figures you own, how many waves and builder figures you have completed, and how much your collection is worth right now. Organize your collection in teams, upload photos of each figure, look at price guides, and share your collection with friends by showcasing your own profile. Go and sign up and see for yourself. Legendsverse.com.
If you collect Marvel Legends, you should absolutely sign up for Legendsverse. All the links in the video description. Now back to the X-Cutioner here. As I said, this is just a guy wearing a mask. Now who is under that mask? Does the animated show go in the same direction as the comics? Is that Carl Denty, or is it someone else to better fit the storyline of the show? maybe it's Grayson Creed. We will find out, but either way, the helmet is sort of like a narrow dome, like bullet helmet that goes buried into the torso here. So there is more articulation than it seems, as it's on a ball joint. So you can sort of get him leaning forward, not back as much because it's hindered by the collar, but you still got your swivel, of course, and then a little bit of tilt and rocker. So yeah, that's on a ball joint in the sort of neck hole there, so that works really well. And it looks like this character is really limited with all of the armor attached to him, but the jacket is actually two pieces cut at the torso by the belt, and that means there's a ball joint there which allows for more articulation than you seem. So you get your swivel at the waist, you get your tilt, but then some crunch forward and back. Not a lot, but you get some, more than you would think. So back and forward, back and forward. So they've went for the aesthetic approach, because you haven't got the ab crunch, but more articulation than it seems as well. So it's a nice balance of the two, I think, to better suit what we're going to see on screen. Now, looking at the details, of course, you've got the belt with the FOH, that's Friends of Humanity. Again, I'm sure you're familiar, but it's an anti-mutant hate group, very terrorist-like. You get some buttons and whatnot on the side, pockets, bullets. Moving up, that harness is in a different shade of orangey brown. Now it looks like it's hindered, but that's a separate plastic piece. Does not hinder the articulation at the shoulder at all. You can see that sort of chrome, sort of sculpted armored piece for the arm. A little bit of bullets there, that's a separate piece as well. And then you get the gloves with the regular sort of human hands there. But yeah, the arm will go all the way up to 90, no problem at all. Bicep swivel, and then double jointed elbow, all well and good. Hindered a little bit by the sculpted sort of details. Same on this side as well. You've got this big red sash sort of scarf piece with the buckle attached to the top. Again, that's attached to the jacket as a separate piece. You lift it up, does not hinder any of the articulation of the arm. So the arm will still go up to 90, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. So again, both of the hands actually have the up and down hinging as well for better weapon poses. So that's really nice. So yeah, he moves more than you'd think. And then down to here, the jacket has the holes in it, so you can still get the legs out of the way for posing and stuff. So there's the leg sticking out. You can see the nice detail on the sort of shins and the boots, on the knee pad. Again, ankle pivot and rocker, double jointed pinless knees, no problem at all. You can see the knee pad is a separate piece attached to the shin, so that is how that looks. Underneath all of this as well, it is pinless legs with the thigh cut up top as well. And as I said, the legs do still come out. They're not hindered by the jacket that's overlay at the top. So at first impressions, it looks like a very sort of clunky, sort of limited, articulated character. But there is still lots of articulation hidden within the character design while still looking aesthetically pleasing. So I think they've done a good job here with some really nice details. So let's check out those weapons. First up, we have this very sort of space age looking gun that's done in 3 elements. You've got the handle, then you've got the chrome bit with all of these sort of attachments, and then you've got the gold as well. Now in the packaging, it actually has this sort of plastic cover, which I think is just there so it doesn't warp during transit, which is a nice touch. So remember to take this sort of plastic cover off the tip, but that is what we're dealing with. A very nice, unique gun with these cylinders on the bottom. It's got a peg there to actually plug in the back, which I'll show you in a minute, and then some peg holes on this side so you can actually plug in the spears that he comes with as well. But you can see here some very nice sculpted detail. Now the spears are right here. Again, I assume these are his Shi'ar spears, just like he does have in the comics. These have 2 pegs on that the character can hold in his hands like batons, or you can plug them into the weapon. So one of them has a point, the other one is just a straight up end. And I'm going to try and do this through my camera lens, but you can see here the 2 peg holes. You can peg in these 2 spears. Now one peg is longer than the other. I have no idea why, but they both peg in like that. So you can either have like a speared weapon, like so, and then if you get the character back, he's got a peg hole in the back like there, just under the harness piece, and we can attach these, right? So yeah, that will plug in there like so, and again, you have to play with it a little bit. My films are fat, but he will store his weapons like so. You want to spin them round so they're pointing out at the top. There you go, that cuts a better silhouette where you have the actual gun handle sticking over one shoulder and then you get the two spears sticking over the other shoulder. And if I spin it round onto the back, you can see that you're utilizing the peg holes on the actual gun. But again, it's your display. We haven't even seen the animated show yet. We haven't even seen a frame of this guy in the trailer, so we have no idea what is accurate to the show, but I still think that looks pretty good. Now his last accessory is this hollow cannon. Now it's in the colours of a Sentinel, so I'm assuming he has stole it from a Sentinel. Some nice sculpted details all the way around with a little bit of purple and yellow. But yeah, it is completely hollow like so. So all you have to do is get his hand and sort of just stick it in there. There you go, done. There's nothing for the hand to grip on, unfortunately, so it is pretty loose, as you can see. But there you go, it's holding now, so you can just get him posed up with the cannon of a Sentinel, and of course it's just hollow, so it'll work in both hands, no problem at all. So he can shoot you with the Sentinel cannon while storing his other weapons. And I do like it when you can pose a figure on display with all of his accessories with him. That make complete sense. So yeah, he's looking good. And just to show you him holding his weapon, he will hold it really nicely. He doesn't have butterfly joints, unfortunately. There's just too much going on with the jacket, but you can still pose him up pretty well, all things considered. He will grip the hand very nicely with the handle, and then I've just got one of the other hands literally gripping on to one of the cylinders. But it works really nicely for some poses, undoubtedly. And if I wanted to, I could plug in the spears as well in those holes like so. But again, I've just got fat thumbs and I never get it to work on camera. See, my thumbs are fat. He can, of course, hold the spears as well, but they are a very loose grip, of course, as they are trigger finger hands, not gripping hands. So you do have to balance it really well, otherwise they're just going to fall out all over the place. So maybe for some posing or for some pictures, but yeah, it is quite limiting with the grip on the hands, but still, it can work. So let's wrap up with some comparisons. I've rambled on far too long, but it is a brand new figure and a character I'm very intrigued to see in the animated show, because right now we don't really have much context. We don't really know who he battles, who he goes up against, who's even behind the helmet. But let's have a look at some Marvel Legends. So of course here we have the brand new Wolverine and Cyclops from the X-Men 97 card backs, and as you can see, he scales very nicely. He isn't an alien or anything like that. He is just a regular guy wearing that suit of armor. So you can see Cyclops is actually taller than the X-Cutioner. Here we have everyone's favourite X-Men couple. It is, of course, the X-Men 97, Gambit and Rogue. Here we have the other two, which of course is Bishop and Storm. And we don't have too many other villains yet from the show, but we do have Magneto in his more classic attire. And since he likes stealing from Sentinels, here we have Bastion and female Sentinel Prime from the Sentinel HasLab. And talking of stealing, you'll notice I swapped out his hands for these more metallic hands. Now, they don't quite fit the metallic of the arms, but in the comics he actually had these metal hands, so this is more comic accurate. I stole these from Silvermane, but I'm sure we have others in our Marvel Legends collection. I stole this idea from Collecting Rush, so go and check out his display videos if you want some inspiration. But yes, that does make him a tiny bit more comic accurate. And while it's looking more comic accurate, let's do some comic comparisons. Here we have X-Men and Rogue, who he has come up against in the comics, and of course most notably in the comics, X-Cutioner actually impenetrated the metallic skin of Colossus and injured him before he went off with Magneto. So that's a big deal. For a better sense of scale, here we have a couple of massive X-Men villains with Omega Red and of course the Juggernaut. But he has also went up against other characters like Spider-Man and the Punisher in the comics. So here we had the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, and considering this is an anniversary year for the Punisher, I'm thinking 50 years, then the Punisher is in worthy need of an upgrade in his classic attire. I'm thinking pinless, butterfly joints, better articulation. Make it happen, Hasbro. And as always, let's wrap up with some of the Who Cruiser. Here we have Frogman, Tigra, and Jocasta, who is still reading out comments from the previous Marvel Legend review. So if you leave a comment on this video, she may read yours on the next one. Just make it short and snappy.
General X 343 says, "To me, my X-Men."
And then last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Wave 2, the X-Cutioner. Now, to be fair, we haven't even seen a frame of this guy because the show isn't out yet and he wasn't in the trailer. So we can't really comment on whether this is a super accurate representation of the character based on the source material, because quite frankly, we just don't know. We only have those few glimpses of promo art that we have on this very Marvel Legend. And you have to admit, it's a pretty solid attempt. I think this is a great Marvel Legend, a completely pinless representation of this more streamlined character design of the X-Cutioner that still has a great range of articulation. It's a nice balance between articulation and aesthetic. It's going to do what you need it to do for a pose, undoubtedly. Would butterfly joints made a difference? Absolutely. But still, it looks really nice. I think people are going to be happy with this one. Let me know your theories of how you think this character will play out in the animated show. Who is behind that mask? Are they going comic accurate, or is it someone out? Always curious to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like Marvel Legends, and wow, this is no secret, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Honestly, you won't regret it. Be a part of the channel you are supporting on a live stream. Massive thank you, as always, to legendsverse.com. All the links in the description. You can follow me on Instagram at itsdanwho. I'm on Twitter at danwhoreviews. My name is Dan W, and I will, of course, see you on the next one.